covering not only privatization, but also the budget-making process, which has just begun. The coming month of February, we are going to table into the National Assembly, to the Parliament, actually, both houses, our budget policy statement for 2026-27. And therefore, this engagement is very important. It is not an academic exercise. It's an engagement that is going to inform what will be coming into our budget estimates for 2026-2027. So I want to mention that this process built up not only from the meeting held on the 10th of December 2025 in Nairobi, where I launched the National Budget Students Forum with the sole purpose of embedding a youth-centric perspective into our national economic decision-making processes, but also from my previous engagements with Bunge la Mwananchi on budget process. Remember last year, I had a historic engagement at Jivanji Garden with the public, more particularly Bunge la Mwananchi, on the 2025-2026 budget. That was followed with other engagements, notably in Mombasa, Eldoret, and Kisumu. So during the students' launch, it was agreed on the need for a wider engagement with the youth of this country in their respective regions on matters pertaining to public financial management. Further, in view of the recent government efforts on privatization, it has been deemed fit to broaden this engagement to include the business community and the Bunge la Mwananchi for a more comprehensive stakeholder information and participation. The successful engagement with the Bunge la Mwananchi in the last financial year could only be built upon. Feedback from the Bunge membership has been that this engagement must continue. The National Treasury's engagement with members of the business community is also not new. Under my watch, it has been definitely been enriching in shaping my resolve to have in place more inclusive policies that allow more Kenyans to participate in public resource management. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to emphasize that this is not just a policy initiative, but rather a legal obligation rooted in Article 201A of our Constitution, which mandates for public participation in all financial matters so as to enhance transparency, accountability, efficient utilization of resources, and value for money in the management of public resources. And I think other speakers who have spoken ahead of me have also mentioned the same. So then it means Kenyans are already resonating very well with our Constitution. So at the National Treasury, we have come to the realization that the government alone cannot effectively respond to the multifaceted challenges facing our country, particularly on unemployment, gaps in skills development, digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and inclusive governance for a demographic dividend. In this regard, I have prioritized stakeholder participation as a key dimension of governance and one of the pillars for a sustainable development. We shall enhance collaboration with our stakeholders, including the youth, private sector, experts, civil society organizations, volunteers, and local communities, which is ever more critical. My forging partnerships and collaboration, public engagement will harness the government ideas and skills and resources of diverse stakeholders to better deliver services and policies in transformative ways and address the existing gaps in financial, human, and technical resources. I wish to reiterate that the youth are a significant demographic of our country, making up 75% of the population, with a potential for contributing towards economic development of the country. And in this regard, their voices must be central to how we plan, how we allocate resources, and how we utilize the allocated resources. This has therefore necessitated a shift in public financial management towards inclusive and participatory governance, where citizens, including our youth, actively engage and participate in policy formulation and act as co-creators of government policies and services. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has adopted privatization as a strategic economic policy shift to promote efficiency in the economy by subjecting more services to market forces, to improving competitiveness, revenue generation, aid in fiscal consolidation path by reducing government spending on inefficient state corporations and market development by deepening Kenya's capital market. The objective of our privatization agenda is to ease the burden of governance of these institutions from the government to the private sector, who are better equipped for the market economy. The National Treasury will, in this regard, continue with sound macroeconomic policies to enhance resilience and create a conducive environment for the private sector, including the local business communities, to thrive. This strategic response is anchored in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and also in the fourth medium-term plan. These frameworks prioritize sectors with high youth employment potential, such as agriculture, micro, small, and medium enterprises, housing sector, healthcare, and the digital and creative economy. These sectors are not only engines of growth, but also platforms for innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation for the youth. Over the recent past, the youth of this country have expressed themselves over important national issues which included high living costs, unemployment, and governance transparency. I'm sure we can all still remember what happened in 2024. What happened in 2024 was the youth expressing themselves on governance issues in this country, telling those who are in leadership that